Now it is time to introduce our main speaker for tonight, who I don't know and tell me who it was, Dawn.
Hi, everybody. My name's Don Norman. I'm an alcoholic. Thank you, Laura, for asking me to come out here tonight. Let's see now what I'm going to do tonight. Well, I hope we have a good time. That's the main thing, you know. I was born in L.A. in 1935, and it was fine. You know, I'm just not one of those people that have this story about, you know, this terrible situation that I found myself in and all that, because, you know, it was fine. It really was cool. I had a mother and a daddy and a brother and a baby sister. We finally got the sister. We prayed and prayed. I wanted a sister so bad. I got mad at God because I didn't get one right away. Finally, I got her, and I was so happy because I could do her hair and dress her and put shoes on her and everything, because they wouldn't give me a doll, you know. That was just the whole problem. But at any rate, you know, I was a good little kid. They liked me. I was happy. My mother said the day I was born, I was smiling and the sun was shining and my grandmother was there, my Aunt Viola and my Aunt Mary, and it just started out like that. My aunts all liked me. My uncles liked me. I had a good time and went to school, and kindergarten was lovely. I'll never forget the first teacher I had was Miss Phillips, and she was a black lady. And that was great. She taught us how to make butter and everything. And, you know, it was fine. We went to church all the time. We were at church frequently. We went, you know, every Sunday. We went on Wednesday to prayer meeting, and we went on to BYPU. It was something about young people and the Baptist thing. And I was not unhappy. I really wasn't unhappy about going to church. It was fun. Everybody was there. All my cousins were there. We played afterwards. And I played in school. Just so you guys know, I loved recess. And I liked playing. I liked to play kickball and volleyball and tetherball. I liked all that. I was well, you know, liked in school. I had a lot of friends. You know how you could tell when you have a lot of friends? It's on Valentine's Day, and they give you those little chicken shit penny Valentine's card. At the time, they were fabulous, you know, and I got 17, and Ernie Corral got 18. He was more popular, you know, but that's kind of how it was. I was happy in school, and, you know, I went on to junior high school, same thing, just a good time, and you know, playing. I loved to play. I liked, you know, everything about school. It was not, you know, I rode my bike to school, and, you know, my mother was home, and my daddy worked. He had 2 jobs, and, you know, it was not anything really unhappy. Now, I will tell you one thing. They were very, very strict. They did not jive. They would hit you, you know, and well, just back in the days, you know what, grown-ups could slap people. You know, they could hit kids and, you know, and get you, you know, and you'd be in fear for your life because they would threaten you. You know, they say, you know, I'll be all over you like white on rice if you don't get up from there and do that and do this. And, you know, that was kind of harsh, you know, and we had relatives that could hit you, and Miss Yamaguchi could hit you, and you know, Miss Martinez could slap you. Anybody could hit you, you know. So, like, you had to walk a straight and narrow, you know, in the neighborhood because they did not tolerate disobedient children, you know. And so, you know, I wanted to be disobedient, you know, I really did, you know. And I would try, you know how you try to get away with murder, you know, and stuff. And I would try, and they would throw things at you. So I could duck real good, shoot, you know, shoot. And everything, but, you know, it was all in, you know, spirit of, you know, just getting along. Now, anyway, you know, I was just, like I said, I was just a happy kid. It wasn't like I was real unhappy. Life had not given me a dirty trick, contrary to what people would think. I remember, you know, we would go to things like UCLA had a camp called Uni Camp. And I remember them telling me when we went to camp, don't tell him that Daddy has a job. And don't tell him that Papa owns all these houses. Tell him, don't say anything about that. So like we were underprivileged, but we really weren't. It was a lie, And so, anyway, I took part in all these things in summer camps. I started going to, I was in a lot of activities at school, and I was selected to do a whole lot of things. I was the chairman of the Young People's Christians and Jews. I was in the Quakers, and I was selected to go to the Examiner, and the Times would have these young people things, and they'd meet at the Ambassador Hotel in the Coconut Grove, and we'd have these forums, and we would be there to the young people of tomorrow, And I was selected to go to Washington, D.C., to the Capitol, and I remember going to the Capitol. I think the Ford Foundation fronted it, and the Quakers were part of it. I was a Quaker, too, and all this was really fun. And I remember the main thing I liked about Washington, D.C. was the Capitol, the White House. The White House is fabulous. Oh, my God. If you go in the White House, they have walls that are upholstered in silk and everything, and you touch them and they cushion. It's really great. They said, don't touch it, but I did, And I always wondered, I actually have upholstered walls in my house now. I have a baby that does upholstered walls. Isn't that nice? And so then I got picked to go to the United Nations in New York, and I was there. I was one of these kids, and my mother and them are just proud of me. I'm just this wonderful child. Everybody, oh, look at Donald, and I'm going around and all this. However, now there was this other part of me that was looking at these other kids, and they didn't go to church all the time, and they didn't have to mind. They were smoking cigarettes and staying out late at night, and they looked like they were having fun. Plus, when you get to be a certain age, these juices start going. So I knew what they were doing. They were out doing it, and I wanted to do it too, and so I tried a little bit of, getting away with it. And you know how people start drinking, I don't know, in high school, we were chug-a-lugging beer. And your fingernails get, all glittery and everything. And it's fun, and you throw up, and everybody's laughing. It's no problem, So I like that feeling. I love that part of it, So I thought, well, I'm going to do that. And so I started doing it. I started drinking together with the different kids in the neighborhood. Everybody pitches in. You pitch in a dime, you pitch in a quarter, and different one. Then you get your Uncle Charlie, who was a wino, to go in the store and buy it, So, it was fine. And the winos lived, and we laughed at the winos. And there was a wino named Bowie and one named Rufus. And Rufus was the worst of all. Rufus would get drunk, and he would fall out in the middle of the street, and the streetcars were in those days, they're on a track. They cannot go around. He'd tell them, go around me. I was here first, and we'd laugh, at Rufus, and so I'm drinking. I didn't think anything about Rufus. I'm not going to be like Rufus. I'm just going to drink and have myself a good time, right? So one night, we went to the show to see Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman or something like that. And I had a bottle. I got my whole bottle all by myself, bottle of wine, port wine. I'm so cool. I go to there, and I killed it. I killed that whole fifth of wine and went to the show with my cousins, Doreen and Arlene and them. And only thing I remember is we were getting up to leave, and I said, when's the show going to start? And she said, the show's over. We already saw it. You were sitting right there. I thought, I'm not going to say nothing about that to nobody, So I just kind of kept that to myself. Well, I'm having a good time now, staying out at night, wearing booty buster pants and being cute out in the streets. You know how you're so cute and young and people are pulling at you and, no, leave me alone, And so there I was running the streets, and my mother's not happy, my father's unhappy. What are you doing out late like that? Come home. And I'd stay out anyway and be drunk. And I went to City College after I graduated from Belmont. I went to City College, and I spent my whole time there drinking and playing cards. They had a joint across the street called George's, and you could go in the back room and play cards and smoke cigarettes and everything, because I was smoking cigarettes too. And I played cards. Well, anyway, I missed classes. I missed all the classes, and I really didn't care. But I met this guy who said, well, why don't we join the Air Force as buddies? And I mistook what he said, really. I was sadly disappointed as I raised my arm to, be sworn in, and as with a hangover too. It was hot, and I had a hangover. Really protect the United States and everything. This is awful. What has happened? And anyway, they ship us out to this place up in San Francisco in the Bay Area, and they march you around all day long, and they yell at you and scream and humiliate you. I thought, who are these people? They are crazy, but they would let you drink as much as you could hold. That was one of the deals. So that made up for a lot of it, So we would drink and everything, but somehow or another, they picked where we were going to go. I wanted to go to Palm Springs or something like that, and they sent me to Alaska. And now, I'm from L.A. I had never, ever seen rain like that, for one thing, and then it started snowing, and this is the worst thing you could ever imagine. It's pretty at first. The first day, it's beautiful. Like, all my dreams were come true, white Christmas, everything. But it keeps snowing, and it keeps blizzards happening, and I'm out there on the line as a policeman guarding shit that I couldn't care less about, and I carried a pint of gin on this hip and a 45 on this hip, so, they don't mess with you too much, when you have a gun, but there I was guarding these planes that were ridiculous jets out on a runway with blizzards going on, and I was protecting them from the Russians that were going to come over and sabotage these planes. Yeah, no Russian in their right mind is going to come out in a blizzard to sabotage these little chicken shit planes, So I wouldn't help them out a bit, and I'd fall out and be drunk and pass out, and it didn't look too bad because everybody else drank a lot. We had shoot-'em-ups and everything. We had shoot-'em-up one day in the hallway with a couple of the APs, and they were shooting. I wasn't shooting. They were shooting them, and they shot each other, blam, blam, and dead blood and everything, and we're all drunk, and they took our bullets away from us. They say you can't have bullets in the barracks. So anyway, I didn't like it at all. I thought, this is so cold. I couldn't. They gave you a lot of clothes, but it wasn't enough. I'd cry and tears freeze on your face. And I thought, this is horrible. I just said, I have never been in anything like this, so I didn't cooperate, and they kicked me out. I was so glad. I got back home to L.A., and I made the deal. I said, I'm not ever going to snow ever again in life, and I have been to Big Bear once, but, I wasn't that happy about it. And anyway, I'm back home, and I'm probably 19 years old, and I got a job at the county hospital, at the big county hospital. It's LAUSC now, and that was my first grown-up job. I'm going to work every day, and I made money so I could stay out at night and go to the bars and run up and down the streets of Hollywood with my tight pants on. I was just happy, but in this place where I worked at, I was in the dispatch office, and the dispatch office got all the mail for the whole hospital, all the doctors, and every pharmaceutical company sent pills to the doctors constantly. They send them to the doctors, and so I'm looking at what they're getting the doctors free, and it says, do you suffer from anxiety and depression? I said, oh, yeah, yeah. Are you tired? Oh, all the time, and So, naturally I'm starting to take pills, Dexamil and Miltowns and all these things and yellow jackets. They were Nimbutol and I'm loaded on these pills, and I'm smoking weed too by this time because, that's hip to do. You smoke weed, and so I'm smoking weed and taking pills and drinking and running the streets, and I'm having a good time. Ain't no big thing. So, I do this, and I'm fine with it, but my mother is looking at me saying, what is wrong with you? What has happened to you? They ask you, what's wrong with you? Now, somebody asks you what's wrong with you, and you don't know what's wrong with you. You think you're fine. I'm fine. What do you mean, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? And so, I'm getting smart mouth. I would talk ugly to my mother and tell her anything I felt like saying. My father and me got into a fight one time, and I think he was going to hit me in the head. That's what he was going to do, and I bit him on the leg. And anyway, it wasn't going too well, and so I was drunk one night, and this guy said, let's get some heroin. And so I said, okay, because, I have to appear hip. I have to be in the know. And I don't know nothing about heroin, but I went and got it. We came back, and I shot it, and I remember my head going down. And I thought, well, I'm going to shoot this shit the rest of my life, So there I am. Can you imagine? I'm just running like Citation. I'm getting this and taking that and smoking this and being drunk. And I would try to quit. I would actually try to quit. I went to a monastery twice, in fact, didn't work. But I did all these different things, just try to pull it together, and they decided that we should have drug programs in LA, and they started them at the free clinic and different places. I'd go to every one of them, and I finally went to this long-term one that was like 2 years, and I went in there, and I applied myself to this thing, and we were the tunnel back, and we were armed with this information, and the day I got out of that place, before the sun went down, I was drunk. That's pretty disheartening, when you're drunk again and you can't climb out of it. And so I just did that for the next many years. I started having convulsions. I would have these seizures and bite my tongue on both sides and just shake and everything they'd come to. And they would happen whenever I decide to quit drinking. I'd say, I'm going to straighten up, and I'd quit, and then I'd have a convulsion. So naturally, I know, do not quit. Whatever you do, don't stop drinking, And so I was doomed to drink. I had to drink it, so I just kept on drinking. As time went on, I just determined that this dope was causing an awful lot of trouble, and that if I could just quit that. So somehow or another, I made that decision to quit using drugs, and I thought I'll just drink. And so I decided on Thunderbird wine. And that's what I drank, Thunderbird wine all the time, hungover, get up in the morning, go try to steal a short dog, scuffle around. Now, by this time, my mother and father are through with me. They have left Los Angeles and didn't tell me where they went. And it was just a mess. I'm all like messed up and wondering what's going on, shuffling around through LA, wind up downtown in Skid Row. At 42 years old, 43 years old, just a drunken fool, just like Rufus. I would be out in the streets directing traffic and telling people to go out, welcome to LA, and then I had my underwear on too. That was another thing. And my niece saw me, sent my nephew to kind of watch over me, and that was like the last days. I was just drunk, and I couldn't make it. I was crawling on the floor and I wouldn't get up, because if you get up, you fall. And so I would think people pushed me, and nobody pushed me. I would just fall into radiators and stuff like that. I couldn't go by a window because I felt like I was going to throw myself out of the window. And that was just my life. That's what it had come to, and I could not quit drinking. So I went to the picnic. My mother and father, aunts and uncles, and all my cousins gather at a picnic each year, and I went to the picnic at Brookside Park, and I'm at the park, and I got drunk. I found a bottle of cold duck, and I killed it, and somebody had a a bowl joint, and I smoked a couple of tokes off of that, and then I was loaded. And I'm wandering around there, and they started saying the prayer, the Lord's Prayer. We always say that in the family, and so, but I was making noise, and they threatened to kick my ass, and I thought, okay, I shut up for a minute, but I shut up, and they said the prayer, and all my uncles and aunts were there, and the music started. And we have a theme song every year, and the theme song in 1979 was the Sister Sledge singing, "We Are Family." Now, you all know that song is hip. That song, boom, boom, we are family. And I was taking my clothes off and dancing up there in front of them. And I remember my father said, "No, get him out of here, get him out of here." And you know how we're hurt because they don't want to see us dance. You know? Anyway, my niece took me somewhere back to the Flophouse hotels, and that's where I was. And they started to pray for me. My mother and aunts and uncles, all of them, they said, "Remember when Donald had some sense?" And they prayed real hard. And I didn't know they prayed. However, the next day came to and went to the Yellow Pages and tore out alcohol, and had to mooch a dime from somebody, and I mooched this dime, and I went over and made the phone call, and this lady answered the phone, and I asked her if she could help me, and she said, "Can you get down here?" And I said, "Yeah, I could get down there," but the buses were on strike. I could not walk real good, and I could not get down there. Some guy was eating pupusas over there, and he said he would give me a ride. He gave me a ride down to 5th and Crocker, dropped me off, and I shuffled on in with the last of my flip-flops that were breaking. You know, those rubber kind, they were breaking. I had put safety pins in them to hold them, but they were gone. And I went in my raggedy pants and my red T-shirt and all I had in the world. This lady said, "You're the one that called." I said, "Mm-hmm." And she said, "Well, come here." And she sat me down. I remember this lady, Margie Bates, and she said, "Are you serious about doing something about this problem?" And I said, "Yes, lady, I'm serious." And she said, "Well, do you have a gay problem?" I thought, oh, shit. You know, God, I'm to deal with this. And yeah. And I said, "Lady, I'm gay, but that's not the problem. It's this wine that's killing me." And she said she knew it. Oh, man, she knew I was dying. I thought, oh, thank God. She said, "Well, the reason I asked you is a place in Hollywood. You tell them to dispatch you there when you go out and ask for the Van Ness Recovery House." I said, "Okay, lady." And she gave me a towel and some bugler tobacco and a bunk that had that army itchy stuff on it, and it was hot outside, and the TV was blinking. The winos were out there by the door clinking bottles, and I could see them, but I didn't go out. My nephew came and said, "Come on, Uncle Donald, I found a place we can go." I said, I stayed right there, and the next day I got in line to be dispatched out, and I couldn't remember the name of the place, and all I knew was the Gay Recovery House. And I said that, and this man was insulted, it looked like, and I thought, oh man, what am I gonna do? And a lady swooped around here with curly red hair. Her name was Sally, and she said, "I'll help him." And she did. That lady made the phone call, sat me right there. She's talking to him, and I'm sitting there shaking because I had shook for 15 years straight. And I was afraid I was going to go into seizures. And she said, "They're going to take you." I said, "Okay." And they got me a ride out there, and I got in the door and sat down, and the guy gave me a pack of cigarettes. I remember they had some tailor-made cigarettes. And he said, "What do you know about Alcoholics Anonymous?" And I told him nothing, you know, and he got up and left the room. I thought I'd messed up. I really did, and I thought, you should have lied, you know. But at any rate, he came back in the room, and he looked at me, and he said, "What are you willing to do?" And I said, "Anything." I was so tired. I was so disheartened. I had everything had happened. My heart was hard. I was mad and unhappy about everything. He said, "We read this book here called Alcoholics Anonymous. There's a copy in the bookcase." And I said, "Okay." And they gave me a bed. I went right downstairs. This is my first day. Got that book, and I read it. I cannot tell you that book is worth more than $1 million to me. That book is worth a fortune. You know, I'm reading this thing and it's telling me everything. You know, Bill Wilson's a fool, you know, and he's just drunk, and I understood, you know, and then I read the next one, you know, there is a solution. Thank God. You know, you think you have a brain tumor or something, you know, and there's a solution. I'm reading this. It tells you we're going to talk about God. I thought, fine with me. I'm cool about that. I was never unhappy with God. It's just that I was doing what I wanted to do. And then I got to more about alcoholism. And it's very confusing when you're new to read that chapter. But it was something about, you know, funny things can happen, least expected, you know, milk and gin or something, whiskey and milk. And I thought, well, whatever it is, it's important. And I read the chapter to the agnostic, which was fine with me. I had no trouble with that. This book was singing to me. But then chapter 5, you know what chapter 5 says. It talks about you are a fool. You have been a fool forever. You blame everybody. You're in self-pity. You cause trouble, and you need to straighten up right now. Man, I remember reading that chapter. I thought, woo, you know, this is cold-blooded. They're not jiving in chapter 5, you know. You think you can get away? It's a loophole. None. No loopholes at all. And so I remember closing that book and thinking to myself, ooh, I wonder if I'll be able to do this. I wonder if I'll be able to, because I know I'm going to mess up. You know, I'll mess. And I remember thinking, Donald, you got to do it. You got to do it. And I've been doing this thing. I've been on my job. I do not mess around with Alcoholics Anonymous. I am here. I sponsor people. I got a whole bunch of people I sponsor. I get around. I go to meetings. What do you need me to do? I'll do it. One of the best things that happens in the big book, it talks about something to the effect that our whole thing must be that we got to turn around this thing that we're always thinking about ourselves and how poor me and all that stuff, and you have to turn it completely around to think about other people all the time, constantly. I thought, woo-wee. But you know what's so funny? I can do it now. I can do it, but it takes practice. You have to practice a long time. For me, I've had to practice a long time to think about other people, how they feel and everything. What can I do for them? You get up in the morning and think, now, what can I do today for somebody? And that phone starts ringing. And the phone starts ringing, people start saying, and you sit there and you try to be helpful to them. And that's what you do. You go to people's houses and help them out. I've been at hospitals, people dying of AIDS. I had babies just dying like flies. You be right there. You right there and standing right by them, and they don't get drunk. And it's the best thing in the world, this program. I went back to college and got a degree in psychology, bought shoes. I have 10 pair of flip-flops. They're very important to me. They're my favorite shoes in the whole world, you know. But what the best thing about it, my father and all my uncles and aunts died, you know. And when we have the picnic now, guess who's the one that leads the prayer? Uncle Donald. Get Uncle Donald. And I just went down to Florida. I have some nieces and nephews down in Florida, and I hadn't seen them for a while. One little niece had problems with her legs. They had to operate. They were so bold. They made them straight, and I had to go check on her. And it was so much fun. It's the best thing being an uncle. I love I'm glad I'm not a parent. I'd probably kill them, but, you know. Being an uncle is the best thing for her. My mother is 92 years old. I take care of my mother. She doesn't have to look at me and shake her head and go, When she sees me now, her eyes light up. I'm Donald. I'm her son, and I'm the one now. I talk to her frequently. I make sure she's all right and everything. I'm on my job. I do everything. Now, I have a lot of time. I just kick back and don't do shit. It's really cool, you know? It works out just fine, you know, where I'm not all the time doing something. I get a chance to kick back and watch TV, and I'm retired now. I got me a little chicken shit part-time job. That's the best thing in the world, you know. Everything is lovely. I just had an operation. They gave me a spinal fusion a few months ago. My back is healing up good. The prostate cancer is gone. Everything is fabulous. I cannot complain. Thank you very much.